Hi everyone. I think not many people know that James Cameron had plans for his Spider-Man movie, where Leonardo DiCaprio would play Peter Parker and Robin Lively would be Mary Jane Watson. The film was supposed to feature two villains, Electro and Sandman. Interestingly, Sam Raimi drew inspiration from Cameron's version, even taking the concept of organic webbing. In the 90s, James Cameron was actively interested in making a Spider-Man movie. In 1991, he wrote a script detailing key characters, scenes, and the main plot. Unfortunately, for various reasons, he never got to make the film. However, the script can still be found online, and that's what we are going to explore now. Let's dive in. Overall, the plot remains quite similar to the original comics. Peter Parker serves as a narrator, a high school student, a geek, and an outcast bullied by classmates, especially Nathan Flash McCreary, aka Flash Thompson. Peter has a crush on Mary Jane Watson, the popular girl at school. He doesn't have parents and lives with his Aunt May and Uncle Ben. One day, while attending a university lecture on genetic mutation, Peter gets bitten by a genetically modified spider. After that, Parker undergoes a transformation and gains amazing powers. He becomes incredibly strong, agile, and gains the ability to crawl up walls. At one point, he even wakes up on top of a tall building in just his underwear. Over time, he develops another unusual ability. He can shoot webs from his wrists. One morning, waking up covered in webs, he discovers that organic web shooters have grown under his wrists. Initially frightened, he learns to control his new ability in a junkyard by wrapping everything in webs. Mary Jane joins Peter to work on a school project studying spiders. Mary wants to excel in the assignment, to receive a car as a gift from her parents. As time goes on, Peter finds it challenging to balance school responsibilities and further develop his powers, causing his grades to decline. In order to earn money using his newfound abilities, Peter creates the persona of Spider-Man. He crafts a costume and starts performing acrobatic tricks on the streets, eventually gaining invitations to appear on television. He creates fake web shooters, worrying about what people might think of him as some kind of strange, ugly creature. The persona of Spider-Man later becomes Peter's way of self-expression and an opportunity to be someone he isn't as Peter Parker, cool, strong, popular, and witty. During this time, Carlton Strand learns about Spider-Man. Carlton's character is a mix between eccentric billionaire and the comic book villain Electro. Previously a small-time thief, Strand now controls a massive criminal business empire. During a lightning accident, Strand gains the ability to control electricity. He uses his powers in various ways for personal gain, such as sending electric shocks through people's hearts to kill them, shooting lightning bolts, and even monitoring computer and phone signals. He cannot have any physical contact with others, as he immediately electrifies them to death. Strand decides to try recruiting Spider-Man into his criminal organization. Meanwhile, Peter falls more and more in love with Mary Jane. He discovers that despite her portraying herself as a rich and spoiled girl, she actually comes from a troubled family. In one scene, Peter notices Flash hitting Mary, and in a fit of rage, Parker beats him up and literally destroys his car. In that moment, Peter realizes the true power he possesses. He compliments the harm or even death he could inflict, which initially scares him, but eventually he becomes genuinely glad that he can now help those in need and tries to start doing so. After some time, as in the comics and other adaptations, Uncle Ben is killed by a criminal whom Spider-Man didn't stop earlier. The criminal, evading security, pulls Ben out of his car and shoots him in the chest. Peter tracks down the killer to an abandoned warehouse, apprehends him and hands him over to the police. The cops attempt to take Spider-Man in for questioning, but he escapes, putting himself on the radar of law enforcement. Showman J. Jonah Jameson spins it into a narrative, claiming that Spider-Man is a real menace to society. Interestingly, the Daily Bugle was not planned in this adaptation. Spider-Man starts a genuine crusade against criminals, assisting people in the city. Mary Jane falls for the web slinger when he saves her from a gang of villains. Meanwhile, at Carlton Strand's behest, Spider-Man tracks down a man named Boyd. Boyd turned out to be Sandman, capable of transforming his body into agile sand or making it incredibly tough. In the end, Spider-Man meets with Strand, who proposes the main hero to join his criminal organization. Carlton states that they need people with superpowers, and reveals that he already has a few on his team. He offers Spider-Man a substantial amount of money, something Peter desperately needs to cover Aunt May's medical bills. When Spider-Man rejects the offer, Strand decides to force his compliance, turning him into a societal outcast. The villain covertly hires thugs who commit crimes dressed as Spider-Man. Meanwhile, Strand pays J. Jonah Jameson to continue and expand his anti-Spider campaign. Later, observing Spider-Man swinging with Mary Jane on his web, Strand realizes the web-slinger has feelings for her. He kidnaps the girl to coerce Spider-Man into joining him. This leads to a serious brawl on the rooftop of the World Trade Center between them. Spider-Man battles both Electro and Sandman on the roof of the two skyscrapers. During the fight, Peter and Strand fall off the roof, resulting in Carlton's demise. Spider-Man saves Mary Jane, and at the end of the movie, Peter reveals to her that he is Spider-Man. In this version, Mary, as usual, plays the damsel in distress, which is not surprising, considering her role in every part of the trilogy. Overall, the studio didn't like James Cameron's version at all, and they rejected it. Essentially, his script was a reworking of another script by Ted Newsom and John Brancato. In their version, the main antagonist was Dr. Octopus. By the way, he was supposed to be played by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I'll be back.
There, Peter Parker was an ordinary 20-year-old student in love with Liz Allen, but she ignored him. And in this version, there is one colossal difference from absolutely all adaptation of Spider-Man. Everyone constantly wonders, how does Parker always sew himself a new costume? But here it's simple, he just orders it from a tailor. The first and only battle between Spider-Man and Octavius took place at the very end of the film. After that, the villain was sucked into a portal opened by the Cyclotron. The studio had little money, and everyone tried to save, which is why the film never came out. Long story short, James Cameron expressed a desire to create a Spider-Man film, following the success of his acclaimed movie T2 Judgment Day. Carolco Pictures, the company behind T2, acquired the rights from Canon Films. The initial concept involved Spider-Man confronting Dr. Octopus, with Arnold considered for the role. Facing financial difficulties, Carolco received Cameron's scriptment. By the way, firstly, the casting considerations included Edward Furlong as Spider-Man, Nikki Cox as Mary Jane Watson, and Lance Henriksen as Electro. Cameron's script explored Spider-Man origins, featuring Electro and Sandman as villains. Notably, Cameron's Electro, named Carlton Strand, deviated significantly from the comics, presenting a megalomaniacal take on corrupt capitalists. Sandman, referred to as Boyd, gained his powers from a beach atom bomb mutation, distinct from the original Flint Marko character. The scriptment took a mature tone with elements of violence, strong language, and even planned a controversial intimate scene between Spider-Man and Mary Jane on the Brooklyn Bridge. Due to disagreements, financial issues, and Carolco's eventual bankruptcy, James Cameron departed the project to pursue other endeavors. But you, my dear viewers, click on the like button, subscribe to the channel, and write what you think about it in the comments below. We'll see you soon.